Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 18th of March, now it's 9 o'clock in the morning, Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my channel in which I share latest updates on the news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There's quite a few very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment. But before I start, let me once again emphasize how grateful I am for your time, attention and support. It truly does mean a lot to me, so thank you very much. That being said, let's talk about news now. First news that I like to share with you is about yesterday's decision by International Criminal Court in Hague. As you know, this was a major news yesterday afternoon by Moscow time all around the world. So this court, International Criminal Court, issued the arrest warrant for Russian President Vladimir Putin and Russian Child Ombudsman Maria Lvova-Belova. Quite extraordinary decision, Moscow did react on this, and the official representative of Russian Foreign Ministry, Maria Zakharova, said that Moscow did not recognize this court and any decision by it will have no meaning to Russia, which is true, and I will add that any decision by this so-called court will have no meaning for the rest of the world outside the Western states. But not what is main point in my reading of this picture is that Western elites and globalists basically cross red line. It's obvious for everyone that this so-called International Criminal Court is a tool in hands of Western elites, and by issuing arrest warrant for Putin, basically Western elites did cross last red line that there was between the sides. And if before Putin was quite soft towards Western elites, now game is on, and I think Putin's decisions will become much more devastating for the Western elites, because we are entering, yet again, this is my reading of picture, we are entering most dangerous stage of this confrontation, when only end possible after one of the sides will be totally destroyed. There is no other way out now. So this is dangerous. These games between the elites are dangerous for all of us, for ordinary citizens all around the world, but sadly we have no influence on this. And what is also sad, before very our eyes, international so-called institutions are losing all the credibility that they have, if they even have any. And that's also sad, of course. And after these kind of decisions by institutions that are based in the West, in the Western states, and are tools in hands of Western elites, after this kind of development, it's becoming more and more obvious, in my opinion, that all the countries outside of West should work even more actively to develop some alternative institutions, because it's clear that you cannot take seriously any institution that is based in the West. You just cannot. How are you going to respect this organization, for example, this International Criminal Court? Did this organization demand the arrest of Obama, for example, or Bush, presidents of USA, former presidents, or Biden, for example, or Trump, or any other US president? Because all of them, for God's sake, were conducting wars in many countries in this world. Let's say Obama. He was directly involved in destruction of Yemen, where tens of thousands of civilians died. Let's take Libya. What Washington and European states did to Libya, one of the most advanced countries in African continent, was totally destroyed, and tens of thousands of civilians died as a result, hundreds of thousands. But who was brought to justice from Western elites? No one. So it's obvious that, you know, we cannot take seriously and with respect any institution that are based in the West, because they obviously are tools in hands of globalists. But what is dangerous is that we are entering this new stage of confrontation when sides will become even more aggressive than before, and eventually we may end up in global nuclear exchange. And that's danger, because Putin now has no reasons to be soft towards Western elites, isn't it? Many of you did write in comment sections many times why Putin is so soft towards Western elites. You know, why he is not doing this, why he is not doing that. I don't know, really. But he truly, in my opinion also, he was truly quite soft towards Western elites. Maybe he was hoping that some kind of negotiations are possible between the sides, but it's obvious now that there can be no negotiations, and this conflict will be resolved only when one side is totally destroyed. This is total war between the elites. So let's continue now. And that's basically information that proves my point. This is TASS News Agency is reporting about Biden's reaction on decision of International Criminal Court. And by the way, don't mistake this institution with other International Criminal Court, which is working under UN, under the umbrella of UN. This one is a separate one, as I understand, and we have statement from Biden, and he's approving decision of International Criminal Court, and no surprises there. Of course, he will approve, because this decision was made not in Hague, but this decision was made in Washington and London, right? So, as I said, man, we are entering total war. Stage of total war between the elites, and this is truly dangerous. This is truly dangerous. God knows what may happen after this. And this is RIA Novosti about statement that Zakharova, representative of Russian Foreign Ministry, made. As I mentioned, Moscow didn't recognize this court and any decision by it. Now let me make a little pause and advertise my channel a little bit. Dear friends, if you think this channel is interesting, useful, and has some potential, or deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support with small donations through PayPal, or subscribe to my Patreon channel. You will see links under this video in the description box. Of course, I will be very grateful. After all, this channel exists only because of your support. So yes, let's talk about some other news now. Next news gonna be about Ukrainian special military operation. I will share with you information, first of all, about night strikes that Russian side conduct against military and logistical infrastructure of Zelensky's regime. There were dozens of Geran drones used, and I did share information on my Telegram channel, for example. Even though Ukrainian side is, as usual, saying that vast majority of drones were shut down, in reality, there is many videos on the Telegram channels. I did share a few of them, about successful attacks of Russian drones. As I understand, some fuel depots were destroyed and also some ammunition depots. Basically, majority of them were targeted in Novomoskovsk and Dnipropetrovsk regions, so quite successful strikes from Russian side during the night. When it comes to situation on the front line, I will share with you next this information from RIA Novosti, which is based on statements that aide of head of DPR Yan Gagin made in an interview with Russian TV channel Russia 24. So according to Gagin, Russian side now controls up to 70% of Artyomovsk, which is Bakhmut. As you know, this city has two names. In Russia, it's called Artyomovsk, in Ukraine, Bakhmut. So according to Gagin, 70% of this town is under Russian control. Let me show you this on the map. So that's Bakhmut here. I was very surprised when I see this information. I find it difficult to believe that this is true, but same time, why Gagin should lie about it? I mean, because if he is wrong, then no one gonna take him or his statement seriously no more, isn't it? So I believe if he's saying, let's take it with a pinch of salt, but if not 70%, then 50-60% of the Bakhmut probably definitely are under Russian control. You can see that even this pro-Ukrainian map is recognizing that southern part, southwest part, for example, Bakhmut, is under Russian control. Now, I did share information about this development a few days ago, if you remember, when I talk about roads from Bakhmut to Chisovyar. So these roads, including this highway H32, is under direct Russian control, we can say, and roads from the northern side through Khramovo, through this little settlement, is also under Russian control. I did share information a few days ago about it. And basically, we can say now that Bakhmut garrison is collapsing. As I did predicted in the beginning of this week. If you remember, I did say that possibly before end of this week, Bakhmut garrison will start to collapse, and we are seeing exactly this, exactly that. Bakhmut garrison is collapsing. So in next few days, probably we will witness massive withdrawal, or in panic mode, massive unorganized withdrawal of Ukrainian forces from Bakhmut in direction of Chisovyar through these fields, because they cannot use roads. So they will probably try to flee city by foot through these fields between two towns. And same time, we will probably start to see massive big units, how big units are surrendering to Russian side. So there will be massive retreat, attempt at least to retreat, and same time we will have we will see a picture when hundreds and hundreds of Ukrainian soldiers are surrendering to Russian side. So Bakhmut garrison basically done at this stage. So let's continue now, and we have a statement from US military expert Tony Schaffer. This is RIA Novosti is reporting. So Tony Schaffer is a former member of US intelligence community. So according to him, Zelensky's regime is so bad in managing operation in direction of Bakhmut that that Russian side probably will, after Bakhmut, Russian side will probably, without significant problems, manage to conduct offensive operations to reach the Dnieper River, up to the Dnieper River. Maybe this military expert is too optimistic, I don't know. But as you know, probably remember that I was saying many times before that after Bakhmut, Seversk and Avdiivka will become main hot points, and the Russian side then will conduct offensive operation in the direction of Kramatorsk, Slavyansk. And once these towns will be under Russian control, then we definitely can say that Russian forces probably will move towards Dnieper River without any significant problems, because there is no strong defense lines of Ukrainian forces after Kramatorsk and Slavyansk. But yet again, we are talking about months or 2 months time frame. It will not happen in next day or next week, that's for sure. So I think maybe this US military expert is a little bit too optimistic, because after Bakhmut there is the Seversk and also Avdiivka, then Kramatorsk, Slavyansk defense lines, and then we can talking about about Dnieper direction. But now it's too early to call. Let's continue. So we have informations about failed attempts of Zelensky's regime to conduct local-scale offensive operations in Zaporozhye direction and in direction of Kupiansk. When it comes to Zaporozhye, as you know, a few days ago, Zelensky's regime did conduct local-scale offensive in direction of Zaporozhye, and they were repealed. Russian side did destroy almost entire group of Ukrainian forces, and same happened basically in direction of Kupiansk, where nowadays probably Russia has numerical superiority over the Ukrainian forces. And same time, in this direction, Ukrainian forces are no less tired than in Bakhmut, for example, Bakhmut garrison, because there are informations that some units did not have a chance for rotation for 3-5 months, maybe more, and they are exhausted. So probably these forces, I don't know why Zelensky's regime is sending those soldiers to attack Russian side, when they definitely know that they are not capable of achieving any success. But we have information that yet again one more local scale offensive from Zelensky's regime was repealed, and the Ukrainian side did take heavy losses. When it comes to overall situation on the front line, these blue dots, by the way, means that Ukraine is under air alert, and because the night strike with drones were quite effective, maybe we will see continuation of strikes during the day. Today, let's see how will situation develops. So when it comes to front line, it's the usual stuff. Zelensky's regime is becoming more and more active in the south direction. I just mentioned that they did try to conduct local scale offensive operation in Zaporozhye region. They become more active also in Kherson region. This is probably preparation for anticipated counteroffensive of Zelensky's regime, which will, nowadays they are talking about that this counteroffensive will happen in May. Previously, Zelensky's regime and the Western masters were talking about end of March, beginning of the April. Now they are talking about May. So it's quite possible that there will be no counteroffensive whatsoever, because, as I said many times before, I find it hard to believe that Ukrainian armed forces are capable to conduct any successful counteroffensive in any direction, really. So as usual, very active is Donetsk direction. Ugledar Just look at this, man. Even this pro-Ukrainian map is recognizing that Ugledal is operational encirclement now. And as I understand, the situation for Ugledal garnison in next few days' time will become as dramatic as it is for Bakhmut garnison. They will probably end up in full encirclement. It's only a matter of time. Bakhmut is, of course, major hot point on the front line, Bakhmut and Chisov Yar, and Seversk, Krasny Liman direction. There are some activities in Kharkov region, but main developments, main activities are in Donetsk direction and in Bakhmut and Seversk directions. So let's continue with some news. As I said many times before, there are some channels that are devoting much more time to analyze in much more detail situation on the front line, and if you want to know more, then it's better to check those channels, of course. Military summary, defense, DPA war, defense politics, Asia. Alexander Mercuris also devoting quite time to discuss in great detail situation on the front lines. So, and many more. So let's continue now. And this is kind of, I mean, it's interesting and same time kind of trolling from Russian side, because if you remember this story about US MiG-29 drone that went down over the Black Sea, yesterday late afternoon I did see this information that Russian defense minister will initiate to give some awards to Russian pilots that were involved in this accident with this drone. As I said, this is a kind of trolling of Pentagon, but yet again, that's the news that we have. Let's continue. This is quite interesting. RIA Novosti is reporting that Poland will move its HIMARs rocket systems next to border with Kaliningrad region of Russian Federation. This is quite interesting and significant move in my opinion, because as I said many times before, I'm quite sure it's only a matter of time and Poland and a few more NATO member states will enter openly this conflict, and this move from Warsaw is probably part of this preparation to enter this conflict. I don't see any other reason why Poland will yet again make one more step to escalate with Russia and send its HIMARS MLRS in next to Russian border. So probably all of you at this point now are quite sure that it's only a matter of time and Poland will, one way or another, will become part of this, openly become part of this conflict. Quite possibly Baltic states also, Slovakia also, maybe even Romania. But this will be done not under the umbrella of NATO, but this will be done under the umbrella of anti-Russian coalition that Poland, Warsaw, Washington, and London are trying to build right now. It will take 3-5 months, and Poland will become part of this conflict, that's for sure. And then, once Russian side will retaliate, US may also become openly involved in this conflict, and we will probably see some local scale battles between Russian and the US forces also. And this is dangerous. This is dangerous because, as I said in the beginning of today's update, Western elites, those globalist criminals, did cross basically one of the last lines that, or last red lines that there was, because now they did left no other chance to Putin other than become more aggressive in his moves against Western elites, and this development that we are seeing from Poland, from Slovakia, from Washington, from Baltic states, these developments definitely are indicators that we are closing in to the point when Russian forces will be involved in direct fight against forces of NATO member states. And this is dangerous. It may go down. We may even see some exchange of tactical nuclear weapons. Maybe not in a global scale. Maybe sites will use 1 or 2 or 10 or 15 tactical nuclear weapons, which is of course devastating. I mean, it's hard to even imagine how much devastation this kind of development may bring to countries and to the world. But we may see some small-scale nuclear exchange, or we may see even some full-scale nuclear global exchange. Who knows? Who knows? But times are, we are closing in to the point when we will see with our own eyes how will the situation develop. Let's continue now. Let's continue, and this is TASS news agencies reporting about decision of EU to send yet another 2 billion euros to Ukraine. This time, this money will be spent to buy ammunition for Ukraine. First of all, artillery shells. Yet again, that's taxpayers' money, European taxpayers' money. If they are okay with these kind of decisions, then yes, I mean, what you can do. Let's continue. This is basically continuation of topic that I just spoke about. We have a statement from Slovakia that they did sign agreement with Ukraine about delivering MiG-29s. MiG-29s. So according to this information, Ukraine will receive 13 MiG-29s and 2 air defense systems. I was surprised by this information because I was thinking that Slovakia only has 11 MiG-29s, but they have 13 of them. Of course, this transfer of jet fighters will not really change drastically anything on the front line. But this development once again shows that Slovakia, together with Poland, because Poland also made the statement that they will also send MiG-29s to Ukraine, these developments truly shows intentions of these puppet states, puppets of Washington and London. So yeah, this will change not much on the front line, but I'm interested from which field these planes will operate. From which field these planes will operate. It's quite possible that they will take off from Polish and Slovakian airfields, and then those airfields become legitimate target for Russian Federation. So we may even see earlier than 3-5 months direct confrontation between Russian forces and forces of NATO member states. So it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Let's continue. As I said, man, these puppet states, puppet elites, states, yes, those elites are acting under the name of states, isn't it? So if elites are puppets, then states become puppet also. So it's quite correct to say this way. So these puppet elites will do anything that they are told by Washington and London, and because they are escalating non-stop for so many months now, it's one more indicator that Washington and London truly have plans to provoke direct conflict between Russian forces and the forces of NATO member states. Let's continue a little bit about economical development, and yes, 2-3 more news. So this is RIA Novosti reporting that US avia companies are not happy because they cannot use Russian airspace. And basically they are asking now Washington to do something to make sure that other companies of China, India, and Qatar will, and the United Arab Emirates, for example, will also not fly over to Russia. I don't really see what Washington can do in this case. I mean, they're going to sanction now Chinese, Indian, and UAE's companies, or what? These US avia companies should live with decisions that the elites of the USA made and not complain. Because they are losing competition with some other countries, with avia companies of countries that are friendly with Russia, but that's what Western elites wanted, really. So why they are complaining now? So this is RIA Novosti's report, and yet again I did share information about trade between China and Russia previously quite a few times, but nowadays this information is yet again relevant because in few days time Chinese leader will visit Moscow. In 2 days time, basically Chinese leader will visit Moscow, and so we have here statements from aide of Russian president in international relationships, Yuri Ushakov, who said that trade between the two countries, between China and Russia, is increasing in rapid pace, and in this year, even though mark of 200 billion were planned to reach in 2024, trade between the countries are rising in rapid pace, and this mark may be achieved and will be probably achieved in 2023. So in this year, trade between countries will reach 200 billion. Of course, it's quite small number when you compare trade between China and the USA or China and the EU. But yet again, 200 billion is quite serious amount after all, and quite achievement for Russian side. And this is gonna be last news for today's update. We have statements from head of Russian Central Bank, Nabiulina, and she said that despite some turbulence in Western banking system and financial system, it does not make effect on on stability of Russian banking system and financial system, and Russian side in these terms is quite safe. She even encouraged society in Russia to keep savings in banks, because she is quite sure that Russian banking system is well managed and strong enough, and there is no risks of bankruptcy of any big banks in Russian Federation. And probably she is right, because even though I'm quite critical in terms of some policies that central bank is conducting, especially when it comes to exchange rate of ruble Russian national currency. I mean, I should admit that Nabiullina is probably one of the best heads of central banks in this world, because it's true. You may agree with some policies of her, you may disagree, but she truly is one of the best in this world, and that's simple true. And yes, this is gonna be last news for this update. I hope you will find this video interesting, and if so, please hit that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, and if you can, please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, or any other platform that you are active on. If you can, and if you want to, you can support my channel through PayPal or Patreon. You will see links under this video in the description box. So yes, dear friends, I may be unable to answer your questions today because as I said yesterday, today I will make I have to go in Moscow and make some content for Patreon subscribers, some exclusive for Patreons and Patreon, and I'm quite bad with the phone, to be honest. So later on, when I be at home, I will of course take my time and answer to all the questions that I will see in the comment section. As you know, I'm quite active in comment sections, that I'm truly trying to at least say thank you to all of you for your time and attention. So this is it for now. Have a nice day. And take care.